Hi, and welcome to End of the Line, our weekly recap where the PMG editors get together and kind of talk about, the topics, the trends, the innovations, the things that they've seen, whether it's the past week, past couple of weeks, depending on how frequently we get together. We have Liz Cuneo from Healthcare Packaging, Matt Reynolds from Packaging World, and Derek Teal from Pro Food World. Liz, since this is kind of your baby, we're going to let you kick things off this week. So, what's coming across the desk of Healthcare Packaging?
Well, thanks, Sean. Yeah, so it was actually kind of a busy week for the over-the-counter brands. I had two interesting interviews about some new product launches. One's actually a new product launch. One was a package redesign. The package redesign is for Genexa, children's cleaner, over-the-counter medicines for colds and pain and that kind of stuff. So their redesign I thought was really interesting, really going for that really clean look and making it really simple for parents to find the right medicine at the time that they need it. So we talked all about how color plays into that design, the use of white space. So interesting to see what they're doing to really stand out on shelf. The other one that came across my desk is a new UTI kit for women. And it's a new product that bundles a bunch of different things in one kit. So the medicine, the test strips, even a drink that helps flush out the infection. And what's interesting is, and I did not know this, but regulations don't allow all of those things to be packaged in one box. So what they had to do was keep part of it in one box and then the drink supplement into another. And then they kit the thing together with a piece of cardboard and some plastic overlay, which was interesting. It really gives it that cohesive look, but again, they regulations wouldn't allow them to be in the same box, which there's always interesting what comes out when we talk about regulations and packaging, especially in the healthcare space. But it was interesting to see them talk about design as well. So packaging design, how things are packaged, what color is used, and how that really brings buyers and users. So really good interviews this week.
Very interesting. Is there any rhyme or reason as to why they couldn't be packaged together? I mean, I understand the regulations, but is it just one
Yeah,
thing is
it was because one's a medicine and one's a supplement. And so
okay,
it must
Mm.
be they're very different,
church and
probably,
state?
yeah, church and state, if you will, but probably different things that have to be on the labels or on the boxes. So, and they didn't know that going in. I asked, I'm like, so was that like we planned for this, or was that just like an oh no moment? And she's like, oh, it was an oh no moment, but they
Really?
pivoted nicely. Yeah, thought that was
That's
interesting.
another example of why packaging needs to be brought in earlier. You don't make the product and the
Yeah.
package together,
Right.
And they did, to
Yeah.
their defense. I don't want to throw them under the bus, but they learned it early enough that they weren't really down the line of packaging. But you do hear those stories of people that don't think about packaging till the end, and then you're like, oh, we can't do that at all. But so they figured it out early enough, and had a cool workaround. So it still really looks like a cohesive package. So you can look for that story in
Nice.
the next couple weeks on our website.
Very cool. Matt, how about you? I know you did some traveling this week, but did you have any interesting things that came across your desk in addition to that?
Yeah. Well, I just got back last night from ISTA. That stands for the International Safe Transit Association. So, there's sort of two arms to it. One sort of on Liz's side of the coin is like Temper Pack or Temp Pack, where it would be like temperature regulated, temperature monitored, mostly for pharma, medical device, that sort of thing. I was on the Transpac side, which is more e-commerce, parcel delivery, which, as we know, has exploded since the pandemic and is only getting
Hmm.
bigger. There was a term from a there's a large retailer that starts with the letter W, that was there, that was throwing around a term that I think if we don't know it already, we're going to learn it, and that is horizontal compression, or sustained horizontal compression, if we really want to be
Sounds
specific.
painful.
It does. It does. It feels like I should have some sort of like a shirt or something that would allow for horizontal compression. But what it is another wrinkle that brand owners are going to have to contend with after years and years of dealing with all of the sustainability, lightweighting, and optimizing for the lightest or the smallest flute of corrugated in their cases, and material reduction, and trying to right size packages or cases specifically, so secondary packaging for the most part, right size for the product that it contains, so as not to ship air, so as to avoid, having to use a bunch of dunnage or packing peanuts, that sort of thing. Well, Walmart is on a path to automation and warehouse automation and DC FC automation, such that they're automating the heck out of everything.
Hmm.
They're depalletizing layers at a time of mixed products, which is it's been done, but it's this is like almost like lights out version of this. So they need more robust, stronger packages that stand up to horizontal, not just vertical, but horizontal compression. So these depals can pick up the whole layer at a
Mm.
time and move things over, and sustained in such a way that it's not just brief, but they're moving things horizontally. So that's a term that is going to have to enter, or if isn't already, it's going to, brands are going to have to use that in their calculus for what kind of cases, the gauge, the strength, all these sorts of things. Anyway, sustained horizontal compression is my word of the day. And then from a broader standpoint, just I think we're all experiencing how AI is just seeping into everything, and not in a bad way. One really interesting, I would call it a probe, because this is something out of Michigan State. It's not commercialized yet, I don't believe. Something called it's called PackSense, where it is traditionally testing for packages, validation for how well a package is
Hmm.
going to perform out there in the wild is done either field testing or lab testing. Those are the two that ISTA is known for. But there's a wealth of information about the package that we haven't been able to access in the comments. Don't read the comments, but it's in the reviews on Amazon.
Oh
So
yeah.
there's enough volume of comments about, say, I don't know, a hand lotion or something like that, that have negative reviews about the product associated with the pump not working, or the closure,
Mm.
or a leaker or something like that, and that translates to a negative experience with the brand. So this AI is basically scraping comments, or scraping, one stars versus five stars, to learn about how packages are actually performing out there in the wild. So that would be like a third. It obviously won't replace, but potentially complement some of the more standard field testing and lab testing for packaging. This wealth of information, it's what we hear about AI all the time. The data is there. We just haven't
Yeah.
had the technology to do anything with it. And now Michigan State and others, we hear it all the time, are using AI to actually marshal and harness all this data that's out there and do something with it. So, two interesting things coming out of ISTA in Phoenix this week.
Awesome.
That's a really cool way of AI being implemented in a way that you probably wouldn't think of it, kind of, especially not tying on the packaging sector. And I actually had something AI related that, and I was going to kind of kick it off with, we hear all the time about how AI is being applied at the data level or the analytic level, with machinery, even in, predictive maintenance, preventative maintenance. But it's all kind of looking at it from a data standpoint versus actually being on the machine. And Universal Robots was at NVIDIA's GTC 2026 event. I was not at the event. I got the press release and then did some diving into it afterwards, and got some additional information and spoke to them about that. But they introduced this thing called an AI trainer. And
Hmm.
basically what it is it almost reminded me of when you see like a robot, a doctor doing like robotic laparoscopic surgery. It was along the lines of they have an operator actually utilizing the robot to do something in the manufacturing sphere. We can figure out how to work in packaging and processing. But then while it's doing that, another robot is literally using AI to mirror exactly what it's doing and
Mm.
being trained by so the human is actually
Mm.
not just putting in numbers and data and stuff like that. It's literally physically doing so you could see like in a packaging or a processing environment that might be, maybe dangerous, maybe dirty. You could have it trained up in a way where you're going to have the robot in there sort of dodging and moving around things to pick items. So I thought that was really cool. It's a real they explain it up as kind of like a follow the leader type system, which to me was interesting. It seems like a lot of the AI, like I said, is more high level predictive maintenance stuff like that. But that was one of the first times where I saw it actually being implemented in a way where it's on the machinery itself. So I could
That's
see
funny.
that working.
It reminds me of
But
a digital dentist, or was it Speedy who is training?
yes.
Yeah, so it's like a microcosm of that, how the AI is learning from a human based on just their motions and how they navigate a warehouse or a plant floor. Hearing a lot of that.
Yeah, and it's still it's another thing that fascinates me is that just how willing everyone is to jump all in with AI in our world. I find it puzzling, maybe surprising might be a better word. I think of like remote access and how wary everybody was to use remote access, and they weren't letting people into their plants, and they weren't going to let people connect to their plants to do things like that. COVID came along, kind of kicked that
Mm.
out the window, and they had to do it out of necessity versus out of wanting to do it. People will do their banking online, but they won't let people come in and look at their case packer online. So I've just found it interesting. I don't know how you guys feel about it, that everyone seems to be all in on just trusting the AI and just being willing to go along with this is going to be the next great solution, even though it necessarily doesn't seem like we have all the kinks worked out.
Well, especially
Yeah,
since I
my
read this week that I can't remember which company it was, but they came out with a new iteration of their AI, and actually they didn't release it. They just came out with the card as to what it's capable of doing. And what they found was that it would protect another AI if given the choice, and was even covering its own tracks. Like it had managed to break out. It was a contained environment, obviously, but it thought it had broken out of its limitations to find
Right.
answers to questions it hadn't actually been, given yet. It was like cheating on a test. It discovered the answer, and instead of admitting, "Hey, I found the answer. Sorry, guys," it tried to cover its tracks. It had went and typical middle school behavior, went and like tried to wipe its hand wipe the ink off its hand, so to speak, from the test answers. So yeah, I find it kind of crazy that I think that there are a lot of vulnerabilities with AI. In fact, AI is being used as a tool now to create exploits in places like food manufacturing plants, or can be used. And so
Hmm.
it's funny that if you have AI covering the tracks of another AI, what implications that has for the use of AI
Right.
in a
Yeah.
plant.
I for one welcome our new AI overlords. Get that digitally out there, so that'll help me
So
down the
God's
road.
sake.
Right.
That's
Funny.
terrific. How about anything else on your side, Derek? Anything come across your plate?
Yeah. Not to pick on Tyson per se, but announced that they're closing another plant. They announced the closure of one earlier this year. I think it was January. And in addition to that closure, excuse me, they announced that they were severely cutting back on the shifts at another plant. One was in
Mm.
Nebraska. The plant closure was in Nebraska, and the reducing shifts at one in Texas. And this most recent one, I believe, was in Missouri, Georgia. Um, and I think that manufacturers that sort of use a plant closure as kind of a last resort. But I expect that in the beef industry to see more of this. I think in general, especially in the US, it's been hit hard for a multitude of reasons. Um, Prices are high. And so when you've got, we all know that food plants operate on very thin margins.
Yeah.
And when your cost of ingredients goes up, you've got, very few choices to make. And in a public company like Tyson, where you've got investors and shareholders that you got to take care of, like what's that profit level? Um,
From
and
from a macro from a macro, are people eating less beef? Or is that
That I
a
was gonna
trend?
ask. Yeah.
that is an interesting question. I don't
I
because it
know
was
I'm doing
actually
my part.
Or can
well,
we
it was
afford it?
Yeah,
talking
that's the other
talking
thing.
to yeah talking to our boss a couple weeks ago. She mentioned something that I hadn't really considered, and that is population levels.
Mm.
Where baby boomers are, I think, make up more than what the next two generations combined, or something like that, if not more.
Okay.
And as they, for lack of a better term, die out, um, who's there to take up that that spot. There becomes a vacancy, and we've seen it like in plants themselves as people retire. Like, who's going to take over those spots? Well, maybe there just aren't people to take those spots. Well, who's your consumer base? And as people, again, leave
Age
this
out.
earth, yeah, who's going to take their place? And as there are lots of different reasons why people might be anti-beef. I'm thinking sustainability reasons,
Mm.
in addition to maybe the health aspects of it. But is there enough people who feel that way to account for the decline? And I'm not just saying that there are multitude of reasons. Again, there are, tariff reasons. Right now, you have potential feed reasons because, fertilizer, as we all have heard a lot about, if you didn't know where it came from before, now you do. And so that's feed that goes, or that's feed or fertilizer for the crops that goes into feed for these animals, and that's going to go up. So then the cost of raising cattle goes up, and then that cost gets passed on to the manufacturers, which gets passed on to the consumers. So, but again, as I mentioned at the start, that plant closure is usually the last thing they want to do because that's profitability. But if you're experiencing a decline, then you got to keep those shareholders happy. So that's what happens in the end. But I wouldn't be surprised if the cost of beef going up as it has, if that, I mean, I think it's going to create a vacancy for another form of meat or another
Hmm.
product, maybe not necessarily meat, to take its place. So
You're
it's
not talking about like horse or something, right?
I am not talking about horse. I actually stopped mentioning it to people because not horse, but I think it's going to be sheep. That was
Really?
I do. It's
Interesting.
because it's far more sustainable on compared to cattle in tests that I've seen. There are also other aspects to sheep that are beneficial, like wool and so forth. It's easier to process, I think. I think they're cheaper to maintain than cattle
Hmm.
overall. Um, and prior to World War II, that was probably the prime source of meat besides chicken was mutton. And that was a key part of rations in World War II. And when the GIs came back, they were so sick of mutton that they wanted something else, and that's when you start seeing the rise in. I mean, chicken's always been high, but then you start seeing a greater rise in beef. Was after World War II.
Well, I know
I'm learning stuff.
Given Sean's last name, we both have Irish grandmothers who fed us plenty of mutton and lamb, particularly around
Yes.
Easter. So a billion Irish people can't be wrong. So
No. Well, I'd like to leave it on learning something. I did not know the story of beef not being a thing until after World War II.
I mean, it
Um,
was there, but it wasn't as
no, I know what you
it
mean, but it
became
wasn't.
Yeah.
popularity. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure marketing had something to do with it. But that's fascinating. Well, I this was great. It's always great to see everybody. It's always great to get together with everybody for a little bit to kind of see what everybody's working on. Thank you again, Liz. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Derek, for taking some time out of your day to come on here together. So, thanks a lot.
all
Yeah.
right,
See
see
you
you
guys
next
next
week.
time.